Good morning. Welcome back to Hiking with Kathleen. So today I was on a road trip. I went out to Salthaven Rehabilitation Center and had a chance to see some birds that are in rehabilitation. And I also met with Brian Salt, who is the founder of Salthaven. So hope you stick with me. There's some really cool footage of birds of prey. Stay tuned.
My name is Brian Salt, and I am the founder and director for wildlife rehabilitation here at Salthaven Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center. We've been in operation for about 30 years. We are a Canadian charity, registered charity, and we take in sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife with the intent of getting them back into their natural environment. And through education, we help people to understand the plight of Canadian wildlife and what they can be doing in their very own backyard to help matters there. We see about 1,500 patients a year. We also have another operation in Regina, Saskatchewan called Salthaven West, and they also see about 1,500 patients a year. Here at Salthaven, Ontario, we see about 107 different species every year. So it's a busy place. We have about 75 volunteers every year that come out and work 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week to keep up to almost 100 phone calls a day for sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife. Yeah, this Peregrine Falcon we think was injured by a car and had a severe right wing injury. Wasn't fractured, but wasn't able to use the wing. So it was wing wrapped, and it's making really good progress. We're going to be test flying him in a couple of weeks, and hopefully, or her, and hopefully she'll be ready to go. She's a really feisty bird, and we need this type of bird back out into the environment. The Laggar falcon is not native to North America. It's native to Southeast Asia, and we came by this bird quite by accident, really. It escaped from its falconer owner with a leash and got hung up in a tree. And when we received it, it was on death's door, literally. We didn't think it would make it. Didn't even have a swallow reflex, couldn't stand. We were able to get him back to a flying condition again. We did find the owner eventually, and he had, in the meantime, gone out and got another bird for falconry purposes and asked us if we would like to have him back. And we said absolutely. And that was 19 years ago. So he's been with us as an education bird, flies free every day, weather permitting, and he's become quite the icon here at Salthaven. His name is Shakar. People sometimes ask us how they can help us, and helping us by donating, volunteering at Salthaven, and helping us to create the conditions that we need for the animals that we take care of here.
Owls have some interesting adaptations for the nocturnal, predatory lives that they live. This eastern screech owl closes its eyes when being watched to become better camouflaged. Because her eyes are so large, they're immovable in their socket, requiring owls to move their head to adjust the direction of their gaze. In fact, owls have twice as many neck vertebrae as humans to facilitate its 270-degree rotation from the right to the left and 90 degrees up and down. Owls are well suited for nighttime vision. They have more light-sensitive cells, called rods, than we do. Cones are the cells that distinguish color. So, for example, we have 20 rods for every cone. Owls have 30 to 1. Watch this in slow motion. Owl pupils dilate extremely wide to let in as much light as possible. This is a great horned owl female on her nest. And we're going to have a look at some slow motion blinking. Birds have a third eyelid which is translucent. It's called the nictitating membrane. It cleans, moistens, and protects the eye. Let's take a look at that again in slow motion. Let's take a look at some bird flight feathers. Often you can hear birds when they're flapping their wings because most, like this bald eagle, have stiffer flight feather edges. When we compare the barred owl to a bald eagle flight feather, there's some notable differences. Notice the leading edge of the owl feather has sort of like a comb-like edge. Compare that with the bald eagle. Taking a look using a digital microscope, you can see the eagle feather's leading edge at the lower part of the screen is not very comb-like. That is the trailing edge that you see there. Compare that with the barred owl. There's the comb structure on the leading edge. And on the trailing edge, it's more hair-like. Let's take a closer look. So you have the bald eagle feather on the left, the barn owl on the right. You can see it's a softer, sort of matted feather. That helps to break up the sound even further. So owl feathers have what's called elongated distal barbules, which further reduce the noise of the feathers when they move over top one another. We're looking at a great horned owl pellet, and I've placed a nickel there to give you a chance to see a size comparison, and I've held it in my hand. These are examples of the kinds of bones that we'll find inside an owl pellet. All of these bones have come from various owl pellets. After a predatory bird swallows a prey item, the indigestible parts like bones, teeth, feathers, and fur form a pellet within the gizzard, and that pellet may get regurgitated hours later. We often think it's just owls that do this, but in fact, it's other birds as well. For example, owls, hawks, grouse, nightjars, and swifts, as well as many other perching birds or passerine birds. Using the digital microscope, I'm giving you a chance to have a close-up of some of the bone fragments that have been found inside this owl pellet. This is a really important area of biology because it helps scientists and biologists to be able to determine what kind of small animals, namely mammals, live in a vicinity because they're otherwise hard to find. These bones are part of the spinal column. In a complete pellet, you can see lots of fur, little bits of bone. And that's why the interesting part of the process is when you actually break it down and see what's inside. You might not be able to make up an entire animal skeleton, but at least it gives a clue as to what kind of an animal made up this diet. Skulls with intact teeth are a very important clue. This will help us to determine what kind of mammal this great horned owl feasted on. And as a comparison, I've used a nickel in order to see how large or small the skull is. You can see meadow voles make up a large part of owl diets. The eastern meadow vole is a very common mammal. In fact, one of the most common mammals in North America. It doesn't have a very long lifespan. It would average perhaps a little over a year in length, but most don't even make it to adulthood. There are so many animals that hunt them for food. So here we are, we're on another road trip today, and Shannon and I are at the Toronto Sportsmen Show. So we're going to have a look around. We've got a really cool place to show you today.
Portable diesel heater. This can heat your rooftop tent, your ice fishing hut, an enclosed trailer, an off-grid cabin.
It's all done by volunteers. We have a side shoot of the Sydenham Sportsman, which is called the Owen Sound Salmon Spectacular. It runs August the 25th to September the 3rd, and that's where we raise our money to do the fish hatchery, bird boxes, deer habitat work, planting trees. We have a junior program, a youth expo in June, where we bring them out and let them experience shooting targets, that type of thing.
Why are you doing any of it? What's the point? What's the reason?
The reason was because of my dad. And he started me young. I was 5 years old. And Sunday morning we go to the fish hatchery, volunteer. And I just continue it, Joe. And we need to continue this stuff. We're losing swampland. We're listening to Joe and talking about what's happening up north. Pretty soon, we won't have anything. I believe in something that is in my heart.
This is Duke, the German short-haired pointer.
Oh, we're just on our way home from the Toronto Sportsmen Show, and after having met Baby Buck. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're glad you had a chance to come out and see the adventures at the Toronto Sportsmen Show and the earlier footage of Salthaven Rehabilitation Wildlife Center. If you enjoyed what you saw, please join us next Tuesday. Bye for now.